Welcome back for the 18th day of Nisan, which is the Rebbe's father's birthday, Rabbi Yitzchak. He passed away in exile in Alma-Ata. He was sent to exile for his steadfast attitude and steadfast approach to Yiddishkeit. Fought for Jewish education, fought for kashrus in Russia, and ultimately died in exile. His birthday is the 18th of Nisan. So the Tanya for the 18th of Nisan will be in his honor, and also for Refuah Shalema to all those who need Refuah Shalema at this time. Fortunately, a lot of people need Refuah Shalema, so all those who are in need for Refuah Shalema, the learning should be in their schus, and they should see a speedy recovery, immediate speedy recovery. So the flow. The Alter Rebbe is teaching. We are holding in chapter 41 in Tanya. To those who want to follow us, they can find this essay in the Chayenu, which can also be downloaded. You can find the app of Chayenu, page 72, the Tanya for Sunday, 18th of Nisan. The flow. The Alter Rebbe is teaching us some basic meditation on arousing within ourselves a fear of God. We learned previously that Moshe Rabbeinu said, Uma Hashem shel me'imcha, what is Hashem asking of you? Just to fear Him. Meaning that without fear, without fear you don't have anything. If you don't have a basic fear of God, really you lack anything and everything. We see it with Avraham Avinu, that he had to say that his wife is not his wife, it's his sister, and eventually when they found out, they asked him, why did you lie? So he said, Ki omarti ein iras elokim b'makom hazeh. He said there's no fear of God in this place. So see that basic fear is crucial in general for society and to serve Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe is teaching us some basic meditation on arousing within ourselves a fear of God. Today's lesson, another meditation, God's will find expression through my mitzvah performance. Submission to God in awe complements one's love, together comprising holistic service. In order to have holistic service, almost we can maybe use the word perfect service, is when your performance of a mitzvah, is motivated by love and fear. If it just have one, there's something missing there. It's not complete. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain another form of meditation, unlike the above thoughts, which should preface divine service in general. This meditation relates to the particular mitzvah that the individual is about to perform, to the content of this mitzvah, its distinctive effect, and its influence on his soul. V'gam yisboinen, in the Hebrew, v'gam yisboinen echsheir en sef bochu asev kolam malakam mirotzen ha'elyon. Person should reflect how the light of the blessed Ein Sof, which encompasses all worlds and pervades all worlds, and which is identical within the higher will. Infinite light is encompassing all the worlds, pervading all the worlds, and this is God's will. Meaning you're doing a mitzvah, this is God's will. Previous chapters have stated that God's will is the source of the life force that animates all worlds in both transcendental and indwelling mode. It is clothed in the letters and wisdom of the Torah. Accordingly, before a person commences his Torah study, he should ponder on how the Ein Sof light, the divine will, is vested in the letters and wisdom of the Torah he is about to study. Try to simplify it. A person should have in mind before he's learning Torah, besides the fact that it can motivate a person to learn Torah, but if he's already learning Torah, he should ponder on how the infinite light of God, which is divine will, is vested in the letters and wisdom of the Torah he is now about to study. You're not just learning a text, you're learning something that the divine will is invested in it. Or if his meditation takes place before he puts on his talis and tefillin, he should contemplate how the divine will is closed in these tzitzis and tefillin. Divine will is closed in these mitzvahs, in this tzitzis and tefillin, it being God's will that a Jew wear them. Umamshich oiroi izborach olo. He draws upon himself his blessed light, that is, over the part of God above, his soul which abides in his body and animates it. This is he does with his intent, or with the intent that it may be absorbed and nullified in his blessed light, to be one with Hashem. The individual's intent, then, is that the aforementioned study and performance have an effect on his soul. In particular, as will soon be explained, the intellectual and emotional faculties of the soul are affected by tefillin. Your intellectual and emotional faculties of the soul are affected by the mitzvah, or in this specific example, by tefillin. ודרך פרט בתפילין ליבוט ולכל מחומס חוכמוס יסבור שבנפש אלוקית וחוכמוס ובנות של אינסוף ברוך הוא מבוש דרך פרט פרשס קדש וכביכול. Specifically through tefillin, he should intend that the attributes of wisdom and understanding which are in his divine soul should be nullified and absorbed into the attribute of wisdom and understanding of the blessed Ensof. So our Chabad, our wisdom and understanding, knowledge should be nullified in the wisdom and understanding of Hashem, of the Ein Sof. This being closed in particular in the passage of Kaddish and Ve'oyo Kiviachol, the portions, the paragraphs that are written in the Tefillin. These parchments that are written and are inserted in the Tefillin boxes. In these passages, both of which are found in the Tefillin, God's wisdom, Chokhmah, and understanding, Bina, are enclosed. Wisdom is in the former and understanding in the latter. By putting on tefillin, the individual's wisdom and understanding are absorbed in God's. How does this find expression? That is to say, that he should use the wisdom and understanding that are in his soul for God alone, only in pursuit of Torah and mitzvahs, and for understanding godliness. Similarly, he should intend that the attribute of das, the third of the three components of intellect in his soul, which includes both the chesed, kindness, and gevura, severity, fear and love in his heart. The attribute of da'at, of knowledge, comprises kindness and severity, insofar as these attributes exist on an intellectual level. The kindness and severity also exist on intellectual, as these attributes exist on an intellectual level. Moreover, as is explained at the end of chapter 3, the profound and involved meditation that characterizes the level of da'at actually creates love and fear insofar as they exist independently on an emotional level. This faculty of da'at then should be nullified and absorbed into the attribute of the higher knowledge, da'at or elyon, which comprises kindness and severity, and which is closed in the passage of Shema and V'hoya im Shomer. The passages that we say in the Shema. As written in Shulchan Aruch, to subjugate the heart and the brain. This accords with the statement of Shulchan Aruch that while putting on tefillin, one should intend to make one's heart and brain subservient to God. In this way, then, the divine soul as a whole and its intellective and emotive faculties in particular are affected by one's wearing tefillin. Again, tefillin is just an example that we're using as an example. And while putting on tzitzis, one should bear in mind what is written in the Zohar, namely that he should draw upon himself his blessed kingdom, which is the kingdom over all worlds. Nevertheless, he should intend and endeavor to focus God's kingdom specifically over ourselves through this mitzvah. For the commandment of tzitzis is particularly effective in enhancing one's acceptance of the yoke of heaven. This is similar to the commandment of wearing talis, wearing tzitzis, is similar to the commandment, you shall surely set a king over yourself. In such a case, having contemplated this matter, then even though after all this meditation no dread or fear descends upon him in a manifest manner in his heart, nevertheless, since he accepts upon himself the yoke of heaven, and since he accepts the kingdom of heaven upon himself and draws upon himself the fear of him, the fear of God, in his conscious thought and rational volition, and this submission to God and his fear of him is beyond doubt a sincere one. Why? Why is it so sincere? For it is the nature of all Jewish souls not to rebel against the blessed Ein Sof. This is the nature of all Jewish souls not to rebel against Hashem. Now the Torah that you're learning, the mitzvah that you are doing, because of his submission to the heavenly yoke and because of the fear that he has drawn, because of the fear that he has drawn into his mind, are termed avodah shlema, complete service of the kind that can result only from a fear of God, as the Alter Rebbe soon goes on to say. Like all service performed by a servant for his master or king, which is, of course, prompted by fear and awe. All this can be accomplished by arousing, even if only in his mind, at least a minimal level of fear, and utilizing it in the study of Torah and performance of the commandments. Utilizing a minimal level of fear of God in his learning or in the performance of the commandment. On the other hand, if he does mitzvah only with love, he wants to do it just to connect to Hashem, to be one with Hashem, because of his love to God. It's not considered avodah seven, service of a servant. It's not considered avodah shlema, complete service. Why? Because it lacks the fear. It has only love. Torah says you have to serve Hashem your God. This verb cognate with the noun eved, servant, and thus signifies service motivated by the fear and awe of God. And it is likewise written, him shall you serve, ta'avoidu, It's written in Zohar, it's like an ox, that when the ox is still young, they place the yoke so it can carry the burden, and it can be beneficial to the world. Otherwise, what are you going to do with it? So too, when it comes to a human being, should accept the yoke of heaven in the beginning, when we are still young. And also can be translated as the mornings, the start of the day, with accepting the yoke of heaven. And if this submission is not found in him, holiness cannot rest within him. Says in the Rabbi Menashe, in the writing of the Zohar, that every person should serve God on these two levels, a level of a servant and a level of a son. The level of a servant is the concept of yira, of awe. The level of a son is the av, the love. So you have to really have both of them. Although it says one may find a son who is also a servant. It is impossible to attain to this degree without the prerequisite of a higher level of fear and awe, known as yira Eloah, the supernal awe, as is known to the initiated. So, contemplation, the takeaway from today's essay, contemplation which will arouse a fear of God before contemplation which will arouse a fear of God before fulfilling the commandment of putting on tzitzis and or tefillin. God's infinite light and inner will is expressed in and through the tzitzis and tefillin. When I'm putting this on, I'm bringing God directly into my life. So just to have this basic concept that you bring God into your life by doing these things, it will arouse awe, it will arouse love to God, and these two things together will comprise of a wholesome service of God. Bruchim to you, and I'll do another short video shortly on Geula, Parsha, and Yaakov.